We're ready. Are you ready?
Dude,
are you guys ready?
I am beyond ready. Bro, this is the day we've all been waiting for.
Man, for so long, right? The entire time we've been building this car, we've been waiting for this day.
Tuning day is here. Get excited. We're about to take this, the dyno, and get it above 4,000 RPM and see what it's gonna make for power for the very first time. The first startup, that was a big one.
Yes.
But really, what everybody's waiting for, including myself and Mike, is how much power is this twin turbo V12 gonna make? How far can we push it? What's it ultimately gonna sound like?
Yes.
We're all gonna find out right here today in this video. So don't go anywhere. Buckle up. It's about to get crazy, baby. You guys, that's it. I am so freaking excited, girl.
I bet you are.
You ready to go?
Yeah. You might not wanna get close. We a little wild war, covered in tattoos. Run it up, taking all the views.
And we have arrived.
Cold start, man.
Yeah, well, it's got the same I was saying from the other motor. It has a hard time starting, but I think it's because the stock motor has the plenum split. So you effectively have twice the throttle area for the whole engine because they can both breathe through that throttle. So
Yeah.
it probably needs some work.
Yeah.
Sounds like a freaking motorcycle.
Dude, with a 4-plate tilt and clutch and that snappy
Yeah,
throttle.
you got a switch clutch and a
Yeah.
throttle that's a switch also.
Exactly.
Perfect. Maybe we can find a tuner that can fix it.
We got somebody who knows how to operate the machinery here, so.
Dude, the first time we drove this car, Mike and I were like, wow, holy sh**.
Yeah, it's like a motorcycle.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Sounds like a Hayabusa.
The engine's that way also, but the fact that the blade, I'm sure it's fast because the other thing was the last one we did was a boat engine
Yeah.
against an engine dyno holding the load back.
Yeah.
So it didn't
Not
seem
free
nearly
ride.
as touchy.
I don't know. We're gonna ask the experts, Mike and Shane, and the gentleman setting up the dyno right now.
This is a mainline dyno, but it's not like a dyno jet where you have a roller that's usually in the ground,
Right.
Where you have that tire touching the roller.
Inertia wheel.
Inertia wheel, right? So you can spin tires on those really easy. They're easy to strap a car down to and make some passes and see how much power you're making. But this thing's gonna make a lot of power, and we need something that is going to be able to read that accurately. We can also set this to whatever RPM we want, and it'll hold it. It will not let the engine go past, say, 6,000 RPM. You can hold it there exactly at that RPM and tune everything. So you can move the throttle around.
The dyno does
The
that.
dyno will actually hold
So
it.
you can set the dyno to either control the axle speed flat, like no acceleration rate, so that'd be a steady state test, or you can do a sweep test from a specific RPM to another one and set the rate that it changes from the low RPM to the high RPM.
So
you could
5
match
seconds,
5th
20
gear,
seconds.
6th gear. You could make it like a Bonneville dyno pull where it's 20, 30 seconds, whatever. So the advantage of this kind of dyno over what Mike was mentioning, the inertia dyno, is the inertia dyno, you're still dealing with the contact patch of the tire against the roller on the dyno, and it can spin just like it can on the street. By experience, anything that makes more than about 1,000 horsepower has enough horsepower to spin the tire on the roller, and then it makes it difficult to tune it and or measure the power, because when it spins the tire, you lose the power input to the inertia wheel. So this dyno, because it's bolted to the hubs, there's no slip other than whatever the weak link is in the car.
So what's the first steps for getting this thing tuned? Like what do you do? Because it's currently in like just a turn on tune.
The first thing we need to do is synchronize the engine RPM to the dyno so that the dyno knows what the engine RPM is, because it's measuring the axle speed. So in order to do that, we'll put it in a specific gear. In this case, we'll use fifth because fifth is 1-to-1. And then we'll calibrate the engine RPM at 3,000 to what the dyno reads on the axle, so it then knows by multiplying axle speed times the gear ratios what the engine RPM is.
Shane's
You
good
were-
at math.
You were told there would be no math?
Holy
No, that's the great part of it.
All I gotta do is hold the camera, Shane. You do your thing with Mike.
The software in the dyno is great. I don't even have to do the math. All I
Okay.
have to do is tell him, go to 3,000, and then I hit a button, and it calculates the difference between the engine speed and the axle.
Okay.
And determines what the gear ratio must be based on the difference. We sync up the dyno with the engine.
I'm following you, man. I'm following
right?
you.
And then we can set the start point and the end point of the dyno pole and have an idea of what RPM is going to be, you know, at the start point and the end point, so we don't just send it to the moon. So the first thing we'll do is run it the lightest possible load we can run it.
Throw that word in there, Shane.
No, it's yet. It's definitely going to the moon.
Send
just
it to
not
the
now.
moon, yet.
We just don't do it on the first pull.
No.
You know why?
I'm gonna go with problems and money.
Yeah, it's money. See, you won't pay me a full amount if I only spend one dyno pole getting it tuned, right? But if I take all day long,
How long have you been doing this?
it's 2001, so 23 years.
It's impressive. It's really cool. I'm always wanting to give the audience some information on the person's background that is working with us, because they don't know you, so it's fun to get to know you.
Sure, my background simply and quickly is that I worked on regular street cars before I went to work at Motec USA. Motec USA, the distributor for Motec out of Australia in North America. I worked there for 5 years. At some point I had someone offer me a position I couldn't refuse, which was to come and be a crew chief on a sport compact front wheel drive car. And they would pay me to be a consultant so I could work on all of the other kinds of cars that I'd been working on at Motec.
That's a good deal.
Took the opportunity and I never looked back.
Very cool.
So I've been able to stay unemployed since 2006.
Hey, we're both unemployable. I like this guy. I mean, there's so much going on here that when I look at this, I'm like, how in the world do you manage it from a computer? It's like...
You have control of every single bit. Cam control, right? How much fuel goes in and when the fuel goes in, when it sparks, and how strong the spark is by dwell time. So you have all of these things that at least he has a really good idea of by doing another Ferrari engine before, but this one is turbocharged, the other ones were not.
Shane is having his lunch and doing a few things. Let's talk about today's sponsor, Dave. It is none other than the Pelote Cruise Shoe. Why? Well, we're tuning the twin turbo F12. And that's right, you guys, we want to do something special to celebrate today. It's a huge moment, years in the making. And the best part is Dave and Pelote chose the Cruise. Why? Do you see the resemblance? Does it maybe go with the F12 with the red and the black, the heel toe action, considering this now has a clutch pedal? So we have a huge deal for you guys. And this one's really awesome. Pelote is gonna give you guys a huge deal. How much are these?
So right now, for you guys, are on sale for $99, plus for the next 24 hours, just for you, use code DDEVF10 for additional 10% off. That's a huge discount, about almost half price, which is crazy. Handmade in Portugal, Thai materials, great shoe, and it matches the F12. So join the DDE fam, the shoe game. Got these right now. It won't last long while supplies last.
I should have brought my Cruise, but I'm currently wearing the Drift. You guys, I love these. Suede, handmade in Portugal, the white sole, and I'll be using these later today to do a little heel toe action, because this thing does have 3 pedals now. So we're gonna get right back to the tuning. You guys,
The mids.
yeah, the mids are actually super dope.
Now, there's a huge sale site-wide, so go right now. Maybe this isn't your cup of tea, the colorway, that's okay. Lots of options, discounts on everything, and that code works on everything. So DDE BF10, but hurry, you have 24 hours.
So we have this massive fan, right? Usually you have the radiator in the front and all the coolers in the front.
Right.
But we've moved the radiator to the rear of the car and we have 2 massive fans on there. And the reason that we did that, 1 is for weight distribution, 2 is for the fact that we can't put that big of a radiator in the front of the car, and 3, when you're drifting and when you're sliding sideways, you don't have that airflow coming from the front, right? It's from the side.
Yeah.
So you don't have efficiency in the front anyway. So now we have it in the rear and the intercooler in the front by itself with the oil cooler behind it. If we ran this fan the whole time, the intercooler would be ice cold, awesome. But the oil temp would be really low, and we want the oil temp to be at least 180 degrees. It doesn't really work well when the oil is cold. So for engine protection,
Gotcha.
we want it to be high. So we
And
probably...
there's fans on this too, right?
Yeah, so we've got 2 fans on there.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be controlled by the ECU as well.
So really you don't need this at all.
Ideally, no. So
That's
if
cool.
everything is good, we can cool the car by itself without having airflow. And that's the idea when you're building a drift car like this, is that you're not going to get airflow. So it better cool itself down without having massive fans.
This is Mike's biggest fan though, you know that.
That's good, I like Shane.
We're able to map the throttle position compared to the pedal because it's drive-by-wire, so we can effectively slow down the throttle compared to his foot. That makes it less touchy and gives it more feel. Makes it a little easier to drive when you're trying to move it around in parking lots.
So instead of a ramp like this, kind of taper it up.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Before it was just a straight line, right? 0 and 100, it goes straight across. And now we're slowing it down at the lower throttles and catch back up at the top.
Drivability. Now we're just going to match up the engine RPM to the speed at the wheel. So we'll put it at 3,000 RPM and hold it there, and he'll measure basically what the speed of the dyno is turning. We'll put that into the dyno so it knows the engine RPM to basically what it goes through the transmission, through the diff, and what is coming out at the axle. So that way, no matter what we're in, when we're in 5th gear, we'll know the RPM.
What he said.
What he said.
So go to 3 grand.
Yep.
In 5th gear.
Right now the dyno is actually holding us at 2,000 RPM or under. So I was giving it more and more throttle, but it was holding it there. So we're gonna try to get that at 3,000 RPM so we can sync it up.
So the way this works when we go to make a pull, which we'll try now just to simulate it, just like what that was doing. You'll drive into it, it'll grab it, you can go full throttle, it won't let it go higher until I let it go. But I want to see where that start point is to begin with. It's 2 grand, that's probably okay. We'll just go 2 to maybe 4. You can stop early anytime you want. Don't hit the brakes. I'll stop the dyno.
This is always like a bit of a nerve-wracking time. You're starting everything, there's all these new noises you don't hear, and you have this, like, it's loaded on a dyno, so you're hearing everything kind of like vibrate and rattle around. And obviously, this thing is not cheap at all. So much time and money went into this. I'm hoping everything goes perfectly, and we're about to find out.
If he's hoping, I'm hoping too.
You go to 4 and let off, right? Okay. You just go to 4 and stop. Pretty impressive, huh?
Cut it. Mike, 115 horsepower.
Nice, in 5th gear at, what, about 3% throttle?
That's it, but that's call it a day, let's
To
go.
the wheels, baby, to the wheels.
To the wheels.
We're done here, guys.
To the wheels. So what are you watching on here, Shane?
Oh, so we've got all the parameters from the engine control unit, like oil pressure, fuel pressure, coolant temp, engine speed, throttle position, air temperature, some additional channels about the crank and cam sensors, fuel that's going to the engine, the pulse width delivered to the injector. What I'm going to watch mainly while we're doing this is the air-fuel ratio, which is recorded down here. So we have an AIM air-fuel ratio here in orange, and then we have the actual air-fuel ratio from the left and the right side of the motor in yellow and in red. And then we have an additional yellow that's an average of the two. But what we're looking for is a big lean deviation. Rich isn't really a problem now, but lean is.
Yeah.
So I'll wave him off if it gets leaner than the AIM.
Gotcha. And what's this thing do?
So this is a 3D representation of this chart, which is manifold pressure up and down on the left side and engine RPM from left to right. That's the fuel map. How good it is at pumping air for any given RPM and manifold pressure. So do the same thing again, I'll let it sweep this time.
That sounded a lot like a rev limiter to me. It did, it wasn't like a fuel rich thing.
No, no, it's mad about something, it's doing ignition cut, so now we should
Yeah, so when we were revving it after you came, it still seemed like the rev limiter was at 4,500, and it did sound a lot like that.
Shut it off.
Yep.
What RPM was that?
4,500.
It's
That was
41,
just 4,500
42.
RPM?
Yeah.
Sounds mean, huh?
Yeah.
Man, without a windshield
We're not losing
and the
the crank, so
exhaust
that's a
blowing
good thing.
back in the car,
Well,
it's a good thing it's not the leaded fuel anymore. Thank goodness it's the Ignite.
anti-lag.
It's anti-lag that's cutting, so it could either it's on or we've got the polarity backwards on the switch.
4,500 and then it just throws anti-lag
Yeah,
on?
exactly.
Oh, you know I was going to ask you about the anti-lag too while this is up.
Okay, so here's a really important thing. The anti-lag has to shoot big flames.
Yes.
So
And whatever you think is
Non-efficient,
big, time
flames.
that by 10.
regarding the anti-lag, there's an inherent problem with a valve train depending on how they've made the bucket fit over the valve. So if the bucket is ground so that the lash is built into the bucket clearance and there's nothing in between the bucket and the end of the valve
There's nothing
to
in between
fall
the
out.
bucket. It's a hydraulic lifter.
Yep,
With
no shims.
With no shims. So on my BMW motors, we would spit shims all
Right,
the time, and
right.
we did not run anti-lag for that exact
Yep.
reason.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't have that problem because although it's fun to talk about anti-lag, it's not that fun after you pick all the pieces up out of the rocker
Yeah,
box.
Yeah.
So we can do the dumb anti-lag with this setup.
We can.
Like, really dumb. No
Affirmative.
efficiency. Just dumb.
Dump all the fuel.
Dump all the fuel. Flames are spitting everywhere like a torch.
You'll like the file name, the horsepower numbers. So later you can go back through it. It's a lot easier to find the file you want.
7.
Well, that sounded gnarly.
7, yeah.
That's 7? Holy shit.
No load, 7,000 RPM.
Let's go. Open throttle. Yeah, baby. Woo! 764 to the wheels.
Look, it's almost 1-to-1.
Hey, it's almost 1-to-1, he said.
Not bad.
Right, Jesse, talk to me.
So what, Jesse?
He just got
Uncle Jesse. Right, so we made just about 6 pounds of boost.
Yep.
We ran into the rev limiter up top at 7,000. And yes, the cam control map that I have in here is from those 2 normally aspirated engines I did on Dyno with. Obviously, we're different intake manifolds, different headers, and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
So we need to optimize it for this with a turbo. You know, when you have a turbo, because you have boost, and especially because you have back pressure, which can be higher than the boost, the same cam map that works good normally aspirated when the intake pressure and the exhaust pressure are equal, might not work really good if the exhaust pressure is over the intake.
All right, so we're talking about the red line, where we want the red line to be.
I mean, well, Dave wants it at 10,000. I want to see it at 9, and then we want to see what it's doing. Because if we do have a lot of back pressure and we do kind of fall off a cliff there, then there's no reason to run it past that. There's no reason to run it to that. I do want to hear that 9,000 RPM.
Yeah, Shane was saying you let what determine this? The dyno?
The dyno and the engine will tell you what it wants if you listen. So when we run it on the dyno, if we run a constant boost all the way up, you're gonna see the horsepower curve from here. It'll go up in RPM and then it'll peak and then it'll start to drop back down. As soon as you reach that peak, or possibly a little bit past, as long as you aren't in danger as far as the RPM and the engine components go, right? So if it peaks at 8,500 and you can safely run it to 9 without flinging parts out on the ground, you might consider running at 86, 8,700 because that gives you an advantage when you go in the next gear. It's a little bit higher, closer to the power peak, and it gives you a better chance to accelerate the car. Take more RPM, which is not a shock, right? We're 7,500, we stopped early, but if we see that when we get to 9,000, now you're caught in a quandary because you don't know if your components in the engine can handle that extra RPM, even though the engine's trying to make power there. You know, if the parts inside are gonna fling out, mostly RPM is damaging the engines more than
and
almost
it's
anything
the
else.
RPM and all the load, right? Because we're going to be running a bunch of boost into it at the same time. So it's not just the RPM like an NA motor. You also have the boost that's tied in there.
It's
too,
also not going to be getting treated nicely, right? Because you're going to be in and out of the throttle, so you need to like
This is true. I don't treat nicely.
stay well away from all the guardrails.
And you go for how much?
8,500 revolutions per minute.
Let's do it. Mike's gonna get the oil temp back up, and then we're gonna see what this thing will do at 8,500 RPM. Highest we've hit so far is 7,500. Another 1,000.
inside the car here, feeling the engine and just that rumble, that V12 turbo scream is absolutely insane. It is.
Dude,
Dude.
brought the sound back.
What a monster. Dude, it sounds so good too.
Doesn't have that chuggy anymore.
Yeah, man, I want to look at the dyno curve and just see if we're still making power up there.
I'm not gonna lie, that gave me a pop tent in my pants.
Well, it's going up and up. 855 to the wheel.
Yeah, we're getting there more now.
What we're not doing, we're not turning the boost up. This is just how much the engine will make at that constant boost.
Yeah.
Right, so we're at about 6 pounds of boost.
What? So we're at less boost than
You know
before.
how much boost they want to put in it? 24, 25. It's at 6. They're going to put it to 25 pounds of boost.
What we're gonna do is try and make 1,600 horsepower. If it happens to take 25, that's what it takes.
I was going based on your calculation.
Right, we're running the same boost we were running at 7,000, made 750 or whatever horsepower. Add another 1,000 revs. It's literally, it's like RPM divided by 10 is horsepower on this thing. It's
I
crazy.
saw him with his calculator out. I've just been over his shoulder the whole time.
Calculations on my own, that's what I came up with for horsepower.
They told NASA. That's what they told them.
Dyno too,
You don't
right.
call NASA anymore. Now you call SpaceX,
Direct line to Elon.
right? Where do you want to go with the car? In Mars.
Not to the moon. To Mars. I want to hear it at 9,000. That was 85. It already sounded insane.
That's crazy.
Dude, another
That's
500.
fucking crazy.
Dude,
Holy
this thing is a monster.
9,000 RPM. Headphone users beware. I probably should have said that earlier. This is the closest thing I've done to an actual F1 car.
Man, that was insane. Like that sound difference just with that extra 500 RPM. Holy crap.
Bro, that sound. Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, that sounds pretty damn good, actually.
Yeah.
We never treated the Enzo that way at all.
Yeah. Holy
Dude. And we're only at wastegate spring boost of like 6 or 7 pounds right now.
Jeez. Holy 867.
It's headed uphill again when it runs into the limiter.
Yeah. So basically the taper right now is the limiter.
Yeah, that angle, that little tail at the end that heads downhill big time, that's the rev limiter coming on.
It's still going up. So at 9,000, it's just as efficient or even slightly more efficient.
We potentially don't have the hardware to achieve the RPM that this thing's capable of going and making power. We've run a couple of ignition timing loops. Look which direction the power goes to get a concept of what it wants for
Does it
ignition
want
advance.
more timing? Does it want less
What-
timing
less
in it?
timing,
And
right.
what RPM does it want that? This thing is insane.
Dude, the vibration.
Oh man, you just feel everything.
It's terrifying.
It's so smooth, but everything vibrates. It's like, it's this weird sensation. Man, that's gnarly.
And that's like, yeah, 886 horsepower.
Yeah, that is low boost, the lowest setting we can possibly get with these wastegates.
So a higher boost, will the audio change at all on this?
It will change, yeah.
More
Yeah.
load, more...
You're moving more air through it, so yeah, it'll change. I can't wait to hear that. When we get another, like, when we get up to 15, 20 pounds of boost, can't wait to hear what that sounds like.
There's over RPM.
Yeah.
I just DDE F12 beast mode. One more test to make sure we're all good. Then we crank and boost.
In your words.
Yes.
In your words.
We're good to go.
Now we're going to build our boost duty cycle map, right? So what we do is we put a fixed duty cycle on the control valve for the wastegate. That's going to put some amount of extra boost in it. We don't know what it's going to be yet, so we're going to start small.
How was that? Was that boost?
No, I mean, if we got almost nothing, and we're in that dead zone on the solenoid where it almost doesn't do anything.
Crank it up, bro. Oh, we made a little bit more power, some boost.
Just a touch.
How much boost is that?
That's like not even 11 pounds right now.
What?
Yeah. 10.
Hold on.
What? I couldn't hear you. We are not even at 1 bar of boost yet. So we're less than 11 pounds of boost. Now the turbos are starting to work. They're really becoming efficient here, and they get more efficient as we go up.
And the noise changed.
Yeah, because we're moving more air. It's sucking more air in. It's running more air through the engine and more out of the exhaust. So
Shane said hold his beer. Oh, he's drinking? Time to turn up the boost some more. Suck it back, you sponge.
this thing is thirsty.
Oh yeah.
Woo, she's drinking this fuel down, man.
And on those runs, we're hitting what, 9,200 RPM?
Yeah, we got 9,200 RPM, and we're only at 10 pounds of boost. They're making almost 1,250 horsepower at the wheels. Right now, we have a wastegate control issue. Basically, the wastegates are so efficient that we're putting a lot of pressure on top to hold them closed, but they're still wanting to open up. So that's a good problem to have. Yeah, we can obviously change some stuff around and get all the boost that we want. Right now, we're gonna move the cams around and see what kind of gains we can get just by moving the cams. Big ponies, baby, big ponies.
1,300, you think?
We're not adding any more boost, but depending on how far off we are on the cam timing, we should pick up some power. We might pick up 20, 30, maybe more horsepower. But yeah, we're gonna find out how efficient we are with the current settings.
Sure, idle smooth.
It does. Solid mounts too.
Lost about 100 horsepower that round. It's gonna turn the cams the other way.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, once you move it 5 degrees? 10. Okay, so a 10-degree move on twisting the exhaust cam lost us 100 horsepower, or close to it. So we'll move it in the other direction and see if we pick up 50 horsepower. But that's what's so cool about having the cam control, is that just by like optimizing where the cam is, you can pick up so much power. You can make it build boost faster. You can make it so much more snappier and drivable. Pretty impressive. About 12 to 13 pounds of boost, and we were going to go to 25, but the issue is that the way we're trying to control, I was like, that's not
What the hell?
So So the way we're trying to control the wastegate is we're always putting boost in the bottom of the wastegate, which is trying to open it up. And we're trying to fight that by putting pressure on the top to keep it closed. But the wastegate spring is kind of soft, and where we built the wastegates in is really efficient. So we have the exhaust basically blasting on the wastegate valve, trying to push it open, and the boost coming in the bottom. Amount we're pushing on the top isn't enough to make more boost. So we're running out of control of how much we can shove it close.
Well done shot.
We
Well,
could.
he has a solution. The way that it's set up right now, the truth is, it's the safer way.
Yeah.
And the reason for it being safer,
So we have boost coming straight out of the manifold, going to the bottom of the wastegate. You reset it. Okay. The boost always is going in the bottom. It's always trying to open the wastegates at 6 pounds. That's a safe way. If the wastegate controller fails, any electronics, anything fail, it goes to that boost. It doesn't go over. If we do it the other way, we're controlling what's going in to open it. And if it fails, then nothing is going in,
Show us with your hands.
going in.
No, the other way you
to
just did it
open
before
it.
that.
What did I do? This?
The audience saw it.
Dave's a hand guy. Like,
Also, I figured out what was wrong with the boost control and why it didn't go down like we asked.
Yeah.
Pilot error behind the keyboard.
Pilot deviation. I'm gonna give you a number to call.
Yeah. So now we'll try it again with it actually hooked to the reset. Okay. Edit that, can't you?
Nope.
You can edit it back
It's a
out.
live
Make me look
stream, my
good.
friend.
This is live TV, guys.
Live TV. All right, Mike. You're smiling. That's not a good thing.
Now we're ready for some theatrics. We're gonna turn the anti-lag on and see if we can't shoot some massive flames out of this thing.
this is called the thumbnail moment.
Real flame. That's what we want. That's what we want.
Like I said, flames up and
Yeah, that was sick.
crap.
Saw it coming at the bottom.
Boom!
Dude. Whoa!
That's what I got for you. That's perfect. Oh man, it was hot in the car too. That was wild.
Do it again! Do it again!